Welcome to Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barreto. Let's take a look at the headlines. Cabinet accepts recommendations to improve the nation's prison system. The National Commission for Self-Help delivers another activity center. Tobago's tourism is slowly but surely on the rise. Thank you for joining us. Hundreds of children came out to participate in Prime Minister the Honorable Kamlo Persad-Bissassa's Children's Christmas Treat at the Diplomatic Center in St. Anne's. The children were treated to gifts, goodies, and good entertainment.
This event is extremely special to Mrs. Kamlo Persad-Bissassa because it's all about spreading the Christmas cheer.
Having fun.
Having fun? What are you doing there? Here?
Playing some basketball.
Alright, and how's that going?
Nice, normal.
What's your plan for Christmas?
My plan, eat, lime,
Right?
yeah,
What presents are you looking forward to?
a bike and a PS Vita.
Teenagers, children from babies and toddlers up to age 12 also took the opportunity to take part in many activities on the compound. Inside the Diplomatic Center, the kids were treated to musical entertainment.
Let's set it up nice.
Look like a professional
Yes.
choir. The choir, the children's choir of
yes.
the Prime Minister's residence.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till he appeared and the soul felt its worth.
Host Nikki Crosby also chatted with the children and got them to sing many of their favorite Christmas songs.
Joy to the world, the Lord has come. Let earth receive a king. Let every heart prepare him room. And heaven and nature sing. And heaven and nature sing. And heaven, nature sing. Thank you.
Give a round of applause, Nikita.
If that was not all, the event had live entertainers, a DJ, and people dressed like Disney characters, including Mickey Mouse, which kept recipients entertained. News 4 spoke to Andre Chinley, who told us he and his peers volunteered to spend the day with the kids. For him, this is what the true meaning of Christmas is all about.
I'm just helping out, helping the little kids. Christmas time, you know.
What does Christmas mean to you?
Coming together with family, bonding and things.
How the kids doing so far?
Well, some of them really enjoying it, some of them not really pleased because most of them can't do it.
And that's because most of the kids are differently able, making it difficult for them to participate in many of the games. The Prime Minister believes that giving to children always brings blessings back to us all, even the government as a nation. She believes that there is nothing better we can do than to treat the children. It was a wonderful day, indeed a wonderful season to be giving. Upon assuming the post of Prime Minister in 2010, Mrs. Kamlo Persad-Bissassa assured this gesture that she started will continue for as long as she is Prime Minister. Joseph Lopez, News 4.
In other news, Cabinet has announced that it has accepted recommendations to improve the nation's prison system. The recommendations were submitted last week to the Honorable Kamlo Persad-Bissassa, Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, by a 9-member committee headed by Professor Ramesh Deosaran.
The announcement that Cabinet has accepted some of the recommendations of the 9-member committee headed by Professor Ramesh Deosaran came from the Honourable Emmanuel George, Minister of Justice, during Thursday's post-cabinet news briefing held at the Diplomatic Centre St. Anne's. Minister George said government had already committed to some similar proposals.
That the committee reported to the Prime Minister. I delivered that report to her on Friday last, and at that meeting the Prime Minister indicated that the Cabinet will discuss the matter today after the FNGP had considered the issues on Monday last and made recommendations to Cabinet. Well, the FNGP did meet and made its recommendations to Cabinet, and today the Cabinet agreed to accept certain of the recommendations of the committee, not all. And the first recommendation that the Cabinet agreed to accept was that, bearing in mind that certain inmates are on remand, who are on remand are not serving terms of imprisonment, as a matter of immediate and urgent necessity, move more expeditiously to build a new remand facility, remove the man prison to more suitable accommodation that is neither unduly crowded and unsanitary, nor likely to cause injury or undue suffering to inmates. And the Cabinet today agreed to accept that recommendation. But let me remind that the Cabinet had already, in respect of this particular issue of the construction of a new remand prison, the Cabinet had already agreed on October 3rd of 2013 to the construction of a new remand prison at Golden Grove.
The minister said construction of the new remand facility will begin by next year.
It is expected that we will now go out for designs, and we should be able to commence construction of that remand facility by June of next year, provided we get all of the designs done between January and June.
Minister George also revealed further changes with respect to safety for prison officers and improved conditions at the remand yard in Arouca.
Cabinet agreed today also to purchase 300 beds, my mistake, 300 beds for that remand facility. In respect of the safety of prison officers, today the Prime Minister signed the approval to go ahead with this particular award of this contract, and as head of the National Security Council, she can do that. She can sign for this particular contract to be pursued. So the Prime Minister did sign that this morning at the Cabinet. Thirdly, that is in respect of the safety of prison officers and the purchase of their stab-proof and bulletproof vests for those prison officers. The third recommendation of the committee that the Cabinet agreed to today was the construction or allocation of properties to be used as safe houses to readily accommodate officers who are under imminent threat, as well as their families. The committee recommended that this be pursued and that the work should be done within 6 months.
The Professor Deosran Committee was set up last month by the Prime Minister after the shooting death of off-duty prisons officer Andy Rogers in Malabar on November 7th. Felicia Wilson, Mon News 4.
When we come back, another activity centre delivered. Stay with us. The National Commission for Self-Help has delivered another activity centre, this time in the La Costina village in Pinal. Prime Minister the Honourable Kamla Persad-Bissassa journeyed to the area to open the doors to the community and encourage them to utilise the facility to its best.
Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissassa is urging residents of La Costina Gardens, Rock Road in Pinal to utilise their new activity centre to the fullest potential in strengthening and fostering community spirit. In visiting the area to open the newest activity centre, she called on villagers to get involved in their village council and take part in the various activities hosted at the centre.
Keep your centre well, take good care of it. I know that Mr. Ramcharan, the village council, you have a great interest in the benefit for this La Costana Gardens community. But sometimes, we build the facilities, whether it be a community center, school, or whatever it may be, and then there's no one who takes proper care of it. So a committee will be put in charge, is being put in charge to make sure that the center is well utilized. And may I ask you, please, when that committee is functioning, try not to exclude anyone from the activity center. Sometimes one family takes it and they vex with another family, and then they say you can't get it to use, because you can use it for other things as well, for social activity, community activity, or people may just want a place where they could hold a puja or a Thanksgiving, or they may want to use it for a wedding or a birthday. It can be used for those facilities as well, so therefore you can then let it out to members of the community for purposes such as that.
The opening is as a result of the assistance received from the National Commission for Self-Help, which is charged with the responsibility of lending assistance to communities and citizens who are in need. Chairman of the Commission, Surjdev Mangru, implored residents to continue along the path of building themselves and improving their lives through the Commission's helping hand.
We see a community and the people of this community as one that is worthy of our investment. I see so much potential in this community and want to urge you to move away from the concept of handouts and waiting on the government to give you job, houses, drainage, etc. Let us take control of the affairs and let us make it happen.
The centre will serve over 300 residents in the village. Government embarked on the construction of activity centres for the enhancing of community life through the provision of programs aimed at bringing people together. Kimleram Kalawan, News 4.
Government's Direct Impact Community Outreach Initiative has been launched in Couva, where the Honourable Glenn Ramadar Singh, Minister of the People and Social Development, revealing that some 42,202 persons are now receiving the TT Food Card, with close to 8,700 successfully graduating off the program after finding jobs.
The Honourable Dr. Glenn Ramadar Singh says the TT Food Card was only half of the Direct Impact Community Outreach Initiative, stating that a program called Rise Up has been introduced. That program allows ministry liaison officers to meet with recipients one-on-one in order to determine and support their continuous economic and career development. The minister said the program was serving its purpose, adding that some cards have also been taken away from some recipients.
We also take away 6,500 from people who did not deserve. Fellas driving big black SUV, big rims, shiny rims, and pumping music and want a swipe food card. We say no more smart cards for smart men. Those days done. And therefore, 2,000 persons in the last year have now gotten substantial jobs. 600 have formed their own businesses and given up their TT card. They say, look, give it to somebody else who need it. Through the Rise Up program, where you have the officers visit you and counsel you and check to see if your children in school, check to see if your house is safe. If they have their vaccines and they're seeing the doctors and the nutrition in the home is good, that you are using the food card to buy food and nothing else.
Minister Ramadar Singh coined a new term, idealism, telling residents that dreaming of what they wanted was good, but that they must also realize their circumstance and work from there to achieve a better future.
You have to be realistic about what you can achieve. But you need a mix of both. Because the realism could get you depressed. Say, oh God, like I could never make it in life. Nah? No matter what I try, I had to drive this old car and I had to live in this old breakdown house. So the realism. So you have this idealism where you say, well, one day I'm going to try a business. One day I'm going to take a loan. One day I'm going to get there. So I'm giving you a new concept now. You have to join the two. And you have to have idealism. So therefore, you're always looking to get all the things you want in life, but be realistic about your circumstances and what you can do.
The Honourable Minister, who advocates for healthy living, also urged parents to ensure their children were eating healthy, as obesity was too high in this country.
Trinidad and Tobago has a high rate of obesity in children. we are getting our children fat. And as they get fat, they can't get unfat. They just get fatter, right? So we have to be very careful with that. And therefore, when we give them a meal, we must tell them to ensure that they have a rainbow on their plate. Green, yellow, red, a rainbow. And they must fast from fast foods for 6 days a week. It's okay. On a Friday evening, you can buy a little thing for them. Get them a treat. It's okay. And for them to be awesome, they have to eat a little bit of the offal, which is the vegetables and the broccoli and the things they don't like. So you have to tell them that and train them. And those are 3 simple measures that you can start off with to get our children.
Persons living in the Couva area can access the grounds at the Couva North and South constituency offices. Felicia Wilson, More News 4.
Sport is up right after the break. Stay with us. The Ministry of Sport's live sport program has been instrumental in the reformation of a number of individuals who were on the cusp of the dark side of society. The outstanding participants of the initiative were rewarded for their efforts recently, and we have more on that celebration in this report from Gregory McBurney.
Minister of Sport, the Honorable Anil Roberts, developed live sport as a mechanism to bring change to the lives of young men between ages 18 to 25 who live in at-risk communities and are exposed to gang violence and criminal activity. The young men attend classes every day at 33 centers across Trinidad for skills training and sport-specific training. All the centers then compete against each other in football, basketball and cricket. Participants are also encouraged to participate in additional competitions such as Calypso, Extempo and Chutney competitions. In delivering his feature address, Minister Roberts expresses his pride in the participants. He congratulates them for their resilience throughout the program despite the challenges and advises them to embrace their talents if they wish to be successful in life. In the second year of the 2-year live sport program, there are plans to expand the range of skills available to participants as well as to further engage the young men to give back to their communities through an intervention of their own design. Gregory McBurney, News 4 Sports.
Congratulations once again to all the live sport participants. News 4 continues right after this. Tobago's tourism is slowly but surely turning around based on comments made by the Secretary for Tourism, Tracy Davidson Celestin. Davidson Celestin updated the media on recent developments within the island's tourism sector, including initiatives from the central government. Secretary Celestin expressed her satisfaction with discussions held between herself and the Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Chandra Sharma. Natoya Johnson files this report.
It is said that Tobago is heavily dependent on tourism. The island was once flocked with international tourists almost year-round. However, reports said that has since depleted, with some blaming it on the most recent economic downturn, while others say it is the poor maintenance of the island and its tourism sites. Whatever the reason, the fact is there has been a drastic decrease in the number of visitors on the shores of Tobago. The government of Trinidad and Tobago and the Tobago House of Assembly have since been trying with some hope of returning Tobago's tourism sector to what it once was. Thus, the significant efforts being made by the two entities, THA and the central government, and the millions of dollars being allocated and spent on the marketing and development of the island. In October 2013, new Trinidad and Tobago Tourism Minister Chandra Sharma held talks with Tourism Secretary Tracy Davidson Celestin and her team, continuing where his predecessor Stephen Cadiz left off. Issues discussed included upgrades to the A&R Robinson International Airport.
To my mind, as well as to the users of the facility, Tobagonians' mind, the current infrastructure does not allow for the development of tourism, and it is one of the things that the airlines look towards.
Another issue, the dredging of the seaport to allow for larger cruise ships. THA's representation on the TDC board and the scheduling of Caribbean airline flights to Tobago were also priority within the discussions between the minister and the tourism secretary. Secretary Davidson Celestine announced recently that Tobago was well represented at the World Travel Market, which ran from November 4th to 7th, 2013.
It is a forum that sees over 28,000 buyers and trade visitors, and additionally over 42 leading publications, as well as over 2,700 members of the media. And that particular forum offers has a target audience of over 20 million people. And so it is important for Tobago to be represented as a destination, and that is because the division, as well as Tobago, expects to benefit from these statistics.
Additionally, the management board for the Pigeon Point and Storey Beach facilities have taken steps in ensuring that their responsibilities are carried out perfectly.
In keeping with the vision to enhance visitors' experience, and also along the lines of ecotourism, they have undertaken to date several initiatives and several programs, such as the construction of a multipurpose facility, otherwise known as a tiki hut, that can encourage weddings and other activities at that facility.
The tiki hut has been promised to be finished in early 2014. But despite the challenges within Tobago's tourism sector, the Tobago House of Assembly is reporting that international visitor arrivals to Tobago are on the upswing. Similarly, domestic arrivals in 2012 were 94% of total arrivals for 2011. The Secretary indicated that Tobago is drawing nearer to the arrival of the Cunha Polo Charter out of Scandinavia, and the THA is in preparatory mood to welcome that flight in the month of December 2013. Additionally, weekly flights will be operating out of Stockholm and Sweden. It is anticipated that international arrivals will increase by 25%. Reporting from Tobago, Patricia Nicholson, News 4.
And that's Patricia Nicholson and not Natoya Johnson. Well, as we wrap up, the desalination plant at Point Lisas has resumed operations following a planned shutdown of the plant to facilitate expansion and maintenance works on November 20th, 2013. Now, the plant was initially shut down for a 6-day period, but this extended into 8 days when Desalcott, the owner and operator of the facility, encountered unforeseen operational issues when seeking to resume production. With the return to operation of the desalination plant, customers in areas in central, south, and northwest of the country will begin to gradually experience normalization in their levels of service based on established supply schedules. The authority wishes to thank customers for playing their part in minimizing the effects of the reduction in supplies from the desalination plant by reducing consumption and by generally becoming more efficient in their water use habits. Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 Report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Thank you for joining us.